Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Goonie.
Hi.
Alright, we're going to be doing the Mystery of History Volume 1 continuation with Lesson 5. You can see that we have this cool little book over here where we're going to be charting what we read. So today, after we're done reading, we'll go ahead and put the next thing on that we're reading about. So, the Ice Age. You may not draw on that. No.
Can I look at it?
Yes, you definitely can look at it.
On a lot of pages.
Yeah, you can turn the pages. It's fine. There's not much in there because we've only just begun. Here we go. The Ice Age. An ice age is a period of time when the Earth is largely covered with ice, supposedly happening between 2300 and 1600 BC. Believe it or not, some would say we are in an ice age right now. Really? Are we? Well, sort of. If you look at our planet today, both Greenland and Antarctica are covered in deep sheets of ice. So it's not a far-fetched idea that we're in a small ice age. However, usually when people talk about the ice age, they are describing a time in ancient history when nearly 1/3 of our planet was cleared in ice. That's what we're going to look at today. An ancient ice age that lasted almost 1,000 years, from 2300 BC to 1600 BC. Creation scientists believe it started as a result of Noah's flood. I think you'll like this lesson. First, let's consider what happens to the Earth when it snows. In an ordinary winter, snow falls on the Earth in piles and drifts, which is awfully fun to play in, right? You guys like playing in the snow piles and the drifts, right?
Yeah, when it's Christmas time and snowing time, I will like to do the snowing thing on a doll.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In an ordinary winter, snow falls on the Earth in piles and drifts. When the air warms, snow melts into puddles and eventually evaporates back into the atmosphere. Well, during an ice age, the air doesn't grow warm enough to melt snow. It piles up for hundreds of years. Can you imagine never having summer, Edward? It's just always snowy and cold out.
No.
Yeah, that's what we're reading about, is never having summer in these areas of the world. It was just always snowy and cold.
No. I love.
You love snow? You'd be happy to not have any summer?
Yeah.
You couldn't go barefoot. You have to always be in warm clothes.
I'm just gonna stay in these clothes. But can I be barefoot in the house while it's snowing?
Well, if we had a house like this, but during that time, they didn't have houses like this, so I don't know if they went barefoot even in their house. Anyways, it piles up for hundreds of years. When this happens, the snow gets heavier and heavier and weighing it down and turns into solid ice sheets, ice caps, and glaciers.
Mom, why is all these here?
Those are dates. These you can't play in.
Like this.
You can look at it, yes.
Why can you not play in?
Because they're too slippery. Let me describe these magnificent formations a little bit more. Ice sheets like those in Greenland today cover large flat areas and remain stationary. That means they don't move. Ice caps are just like ice sheets, except for they found at the poles of the Earth. Antarctica, for example, is a continual ice cap found in the South Pole. Glaciers are huge layers of ice found on the slopes of mountains and also in valleys. Unlike ice sheets, they hardly budge. Glaciers move.
Can humans marry cats?
No,
Why not?
that would be an abomination.
A silly.
No, a sin. Why do they move? Well, glaciers are so heavy that gravity slowly pulls them downward, especially when the Earth warms and they start to melt. The Earth is full of evidence showing us that there are massive glaciers have scraped and scratched our planet in the past. We call these scrapes striations on the Earth. Some ancient glaciers carved out deep gorges and U-shaped valleys when they traveled. Good examples in North America are Yosemite Valley and the beautiful Grand Canyon, which was formed by melting glaciers. If you can imagine, a glacier on the move would be strong enough to push giant boulders and rocks into some unusual places. We still see big rocks moved a long time ago in places like Yellowstone National Park and Stockholm, Germany. We call these rocks erratics for their odd ways that they are carried and dropped in the Ice Age. Other formations created by sliding glaciers are moraine lakes. They are bodies of water scattered across the northern hemisphere where some glaciers sink into the Earth. The Great Lakes in North America are an example of melted glaciers. So I think, I didn't know that. Edward, don't put that in your mouth, please.
It's dangerous.
It's just not a good idea. So I think you get the picture of what ice has done to our planet over the years. It has left some spectacular marks to show us that there have been ice ages. However, scientists do not agree on when the ice age occurred and how many there were, nor do they agree on what caused them. Edward, you need to stop.
What?
You know what?
I don't know what.
You need to stop messing with that bead and putting it in your mouth and blowing it on the floor and getting as close to disobeying as you possibly can. Some believe our Earth has several ice ages spanning millions of years. It is also theorized that a tilt in the Earth as well as a decreased level of carbon dioxide can cause an ice age. Let's consider the Bible and how it ties into the things the Earth has shown us. Remember the great flood of Noah in Genesis? Genesis 7:11 tells us of catastrophic upheaval. It says of the flood, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up and windows of heaven were opened. And the first part of this passage may be describing great volcanoes and earthquakes that erupted on the ocean floor. They could have caused the Earth's crust to break and the continent to shift. The second part of this passage could be describing the collapse of a water vapor canopy that some theories was put in place in creation. Genesis 7:24 through 8:2 tells us that the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days before the fountains of the deep and the windows of the heaven were stopped. That means there was ongoing turmoil on the planet while Noah and his family held on for dear life aboard the ark. Let's look again at these volcanoes and earthquakes. They would have done many things. They would have warmed up the oceans from the escape of heat deep within the earth. They would have filled the sky with ash to block the sun and cool the air. They would have pushed up mountains high enough to collect snow, and they would have caused numerous tsunamis or great tidal waves. All of these conditions could contribute to an ice age. By the way, if an ice age did occur after Noah's flood, a creation scientists believe that Noah's descendants were eyewitnesses to it. Where did they find ice? It appears that in North America, the ice sheets and glaciers extended as far south as the Mississippi and Ohio rivers. In Europe, we see evidence of ice as far south as Germany. All of Canada, Scandinavia, and northern England were under ice. So many people didn't try to live there. But he could have survived. So man probably didn't try to live there, but he could have survived and multiplied in other places where there was no ice at all. Furthermore, if an ice age did occur after Noah's flood, then the world would be full of fossils, which are the remains of animals quickly buried and usually replaced with minerals found in water. Are there fossils like this all over the world? Yes. And 95% of them are marine animals, as would be expected from a flood.
But what does flood mean?
It means that the water is in areas where it's not supposed to be. In Noah's flood, it was all over the world.
Yeah. But where is the flood not supposed to be? Where was it?
Noah's flood?
Yeah.
Everywhere. There was not dry land anywhere.
Mom.
That's why only those that were in the ark lived.
No, I'm saying, what kind of flood was our flood?
Oh, little floods?
Yeah.
They can be like if it rains too much in an area that has lake or rivers, then those overflow the bank and go area and into places where we have homes and stuff. Those are floods.
Mom.
What?
Why does the lights why is the lights...
Okay, we're not going to talk about lights right now. I'm going to finish this up, okay? And you can ask me afterwards. Just remember. A last interesting result of the ice age is this. With tons of ocean water locked up in ice, the level of the sea would have dropped to expose land bridges. A perfect example of this is the Bering Strait that connects Asia and North America. It is believed that after the flood, mankind and animals could have walked across the strait and migrated to the ends of America. Land bridges probably also connected England to mainland Europe and Australia to New Guinea. Isn't that fascinating to think about? Okay, and here's a picture of a woolly mammoth. During the Ice Age, men, women, and children and animals were able to migrate during different parts of the globe as new land bridges were exposed. And there's a mammoth doing that. In closing, remember the simple fact: water cools things off, right? So it's quite feasible that one result of Noah's flood was the cooling of the earth to bring on an ice age. As a Christian, I find it comforting to know that God's word, Guinevere, do not, can be trusted to give us a simple but accurate account of the history of our world. I hope you find comfort in that too. Now, the suggestion for today for the younger students project is to have an ice competition and to see how many ice cubes you can have on your belly and who can last the longest, and also to dress in really warm clothes. So if you want to do that, that is something that you can do today. Can you say we'll talk to you later? Can you say goodbye, please?
Thanks for listening. Bye. Goodbye.